What is up, YouTube? HPJ here, and I'm coming at you guys with my Fortune Lady deck profile. Why not start off the month of September strong with one of my favorites? And it happens to also be something to inform you guys about. It's been 10 years now since the Fortune Lady archetype was introduced in both the OCG and the TCG. Yes, one of the very small decks that we featured in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime for the Yu-Gi-Oh 5D series. Uh, Very popular around the fans. Surprisingly, did not get any support till, well, Rising Rampage, which came out this year. And I do enjoy the new Fortune Lady support, and I'm very happy for it as well. Also, to note, the Fortune Lady support just got added on. The Fortune Lady cards just got added on to Duel Links. Fortune Ladies Water, Fire, Wind. No, Water, Earth, Dark, Light, Past, Every, and Earth are all on there, as well as Fortune's no, I think Fortune's Vision. Fortune's Vision is on Duel Links, and I think Fortune Rewind, and then Cabazalis in the Witch of Catabalis in the Witch of Fate. I always call it Calabalis in the Witch of Fate, but it's actually pronounced Catabalis. So thank you, Matt from BS SGB, for correcting that, because I literally just called it Catabalis, and I mean, I never called it Catabalis. I've always called it Catabalis in the Witch of Fate with pronunciations. Alright, so without further ado, I think I've already stretched on enough. Let's go into this deck profile. So I'll start it off with the monster count, very heavy monster count. I'll start off with the Fortune Ladies that I'm running, and I'm running 3 copies of Fortune Lady Past, 3 copies of Fortune Lady Light, 3 copies of Fortune Lady Water, 3 copies of Fortune Lady Dark, and 1 copy each of Fortune Lady Fire, Fortune Lady Wind, and Fortune Lady Earth. That is all of the Fortune Lady monsters I'm running in the main deck. Now, for the supporting cast, I'm running 3 copies of Effect Veiler, 2 copies of Jester Confit, 2 copies of Kinkabayu, and 1 copy each of Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Chaos Sorcerer. So, bam, that is the entire lineup for, I was gonna say Chaos, for the entire lineup for the Fortune Lady monster lineup. Now I'm gonna go on to my spells. I'm running 2 copies of Fortune Lady Calling, 2 copies of Fortune's Vision, 2 copies of Fortune's Future. Then I'm running 2 copies of Spellbook of Knowledge, 2 copies of Allure Darkness, 2 copies of Magical Stone Excavation, and 1 copy each of Monster Reborn in 1-for-1. So that is it for the spells. Then we're going to move on to the traps. The only trap actually in the deck is 2 copies of Fortune Lady Rewind. So that is it for the main and the that's it for the main deck. We're gonna go on to the extra. I'm running 2 copies of Fortune Lady Every, 1 copy of Black Rose Dragon, 1 copy of Stardust Dragon, and 1 copy of Leo, the Keeper of the Sacred Tree. Then moving on from them, I'm going to talk about my Exceed monsters. I'm running 1 Leviair the Sea Dragon, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Daigusto Amaral, 1 Slacker Magician, 1 Downer Magician, and then for my League monsters, I'm running 1 Daybreaker, the Shiny Magical Warrior, of course my little Nightmare Engine of Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus, and then of course it wouldn't be anything without Barrel Sword Dragon and Yuja Skulldrud. So that is it for the Fortune Ladies extra deck. And now we can move on to the main deck itself and talk about my choices. So I'm going to start off with my Fortune Ladies. I'm running 3 copies each of Fortune Lady Light, Fortune Lady Past, and Fortune Lady Dark. So to me, these are pretty much the 4 monsters that get things going, keep things going, and have the biggest synergy within the deck itself. Fortunately, Pass has the ability to banish any number of spellcaster monsters from your hand, field, and or graveyard to increase her level by the amount of monsters banished through her effect. You can only use her effect once a turn. And the other bright side to this is um, it's a great way to set up your banish area for future visions. It's a great way to trigger off cards like Fortunately Light because you can manage her off the field, and then special summon your Fortune Lady Waters, um, and get their abilities, or just any other Fortune Lady from the deck. Speaking of Fortune Lady Light, let's move on to her. She's also another 3-up because she summons any Fortune Lady monster when she is removed removed from the field by the effects of a card effect. So Dark Hole, Regeki, Torrential, stuff like that. Fortunately, Light can take advantage of. Fortune Lady Water, pretty much the archetypes draw power, and they must have it 3 because draw power is always welcomed, especially when it's in the form of a monster that can float real easy. Speaking of floating monsters, Fortune Lady Dock. Whenever a monster attacks an opponent's monster and destroys it by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can send summon one Fortune Lady monster your from your graveyard to the field. And note, Fortunately Water, Fortunately Dark, and Fortunately Light are not once per turn effects. That's actually really amazing to know that. The crazy thing about this combination of cards is that Water is the one you want to set summon the most off of, if any, because of draw power. If it was more so of an aggro setup, I would be running multiples of the next set of Fortune Ladies, and that's one copy of Fortune Lady Fire, one copy of Fortune Lady Wind, and one copy of Fortune Lady Dark. Outside of what she mostly gets Fortunately Earth. Outside of what normally Dark and Light gets, these are some other options as well. Sadly enough, these 3 are locked behind some really BS mechanics of their own. Fortunately, Fire must be in face-up attack position in order for her effect to trigger, which is she targets one monster on the field and destroys it. Then inflicts damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. So it's a great way for some void clearance and to do some burn damage, but overall it's just not always needed. Fortune Lady Wind, when she's normal summon, she can select any number of face-up spell and trial cards your opponent controls up to the number of face-up Fortune Ladies you control, and destroy those monsters accordingly. Those spells and traps accordingly. So if you summon Wind while you have Water and Light on the field, you're able to destroy up to 3 cards. Sadly enough, Fortunately Wind is stuck on a normal summon. And fortunately, Fire can only use her effect whenever she is summoned through the effects of a Fortune Lady card. Fortunately, Earth tends to be the odd man out, but let's talk about it. Fortunately, Earth is not so much the odd man because all she really does is when she's on the field, inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards. Equal to this. Yeah, every time this monster level increases, inflict 400 points of damage to your opponent. And this is honestly one of the 2 high level Fortunately monsters in the deck. And she honestly isn't. It's just more so of a burn stipulation. Like she doesn't have any other additional effects. And that's also the sad thing about most of the Fortune Lady support is that it's either built around specific mechanics or it's built around just having a weak effect just to have someone really big and strong on board. And with Fortunately Earth, that tends not to always be the case. And we also have a boss monster now. So, yeah. That is pretty much the longest setup I'd ever have to talk about the basic sets for the Fortune Ladies. Other than that, triple copies of Effect Veiler because this is my hand trap of choice for the main deck. I can easily swap her in or out for Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. Jester Confid may be a random choice, but with the way this deck operates, level 1s are not a hard thing to get onto the field. It's more so of having cards to rely on with cards like Allure Darkness, summoning monsters like Fortune Lady Earth and Fortune Lady Dark, or having the ability to just have a monster on the field to help you go into more link plays. And that's literally what Jester Confid was helping with. Link plays and Exceed plays. Next up is Kinkabayu. And Kinkabayu is an old spirit monster who got a lot of help in terms of coming back out to help other decks. with a level 1 setup. So the thing about Kinkabayu is that Kinkabayu selects one level 1 monster in your graveyard, sets something to the field. When this card leaves the field, banish the monster that was attached to it. It was a crazy coincidence of how I got into this because I was looking for cards to help the Fortunately engine, and Kinkabayu helps Fortunately Light because he leaves field, he'll banish Fortunately Light. That will trigger her effect if she was summoned off of Kinkabayu, and you can summon some of your other big cases. But it's just a really great monster to help with a lot of the small things that you can pull off with Fortune Ladies. The last two monsters, of course, are the leading Chaos monsters that I wanted to run for this deck. Blackluster Soldier, Envoy the Beginning, and Chaos Sorcerer. I was in the department of looking for more Chaos Sorcerers and BLSs, just so that I can have variations of them. Also, I didn't include Chaos Emperor Dragon Envoy the End because there isn't currently one with a corrected problem-solving text. It's probably extremely excessive as hell. And I figured, why not just throw in Chaos Sorcerer, because one, Chaos Sorcerer is a dark monster with a lot of connections with Fortune Ladies. Two, Spellcaster. Three, Dark Spellcaster. Blackluster Soldier Envoy at the beginning, pretty much just a little tag along to help with, banishing Fortune Lady stuff so you can trigger off Fortune Lady stuff. It's a very complicated thing, but it's simple basis of I need you to help me trigger off other stuff so I can trigger stuff off to pretty much win me the duel. This is what this is seriously saying. But yeah, that is it for that portion of my monsters. We're going to move on to my spells. And this one is going to shock a lot of people because I'm only running 2 each of Fortune Lady Calling, Fortune's Vision, and Fortune's Future. 1, because there are now reprints of Fortune's Future. So I want to actually get my hands on those commons as soon as possible. Fortune Lady Calling pretty much just extends more summons to the field. The thing is, you cannot link summon or any other type of summon outside of Synchro Summon. And you only use the effect of Fortune Lady Calling once a turn. Now, we're going to move on to Fortune's Vision. This card is amazing for Fortune Ladies. First off, it's a card that allows you to search your deck for a Fortune Lady card and add it to your hand. So, sadly enough, no Fortune's Future or no other stuff like that because they don't have Fortune Lady in its name. Now, Fortune's Future has the ability to send any managed Fortune Lady monster and send it back to the deck without any worries. The crazy thing about this is that in combination with a lot of cards, this is actually going to be a very solid setup for this deck in terms of just, overall sense of fun and just fun. And that's pretty much what I'm having with this. I was going to say something else, but I just completely forgot. So, yeah. Alright, we're going to move on to the rest of the spells in the main deck. Oh, that's right. The only reason why I have 2 Fortune Futures is because I kind of need a third one, which is why I said I was picking up a lot of those cards, if possible, from the LTS pack. Moving on, Spellbook of Knowledge and Allure Darkness are pretty much cards here for the draw power. Especially cards like Allure, because that works well with dark monsters. Here's my Fortune Lady Pass, my Fortune Lady Dark, and then just crazy shenanigans you pull off with this deck. Then, of course, the other thing is that, Dark Presence, Dark Support. So that was something that was highly asked for and highly recommended. So I did give props to that. Now, those are 2 of my deck's supportive draw cards outside of water. We have Magical Stone Excavation, which allows me to discard cards from my hand to give a spell card in my graveyard back to my hand so I can get some usage out of that. That was a card I wanted to run 2 of just because of its mechanics and its setup. Other than that, if I use it again, it's probably just to help me get stuff out the graveyard and go crazy with it. Which is why I'm running 2 of them. For Magical Stone Excavation, 1-for-1 Monster Reborn or just some extended plays, 2 such summon monsters. I can discard a card off of 101 to 1-for-1 to get Fortunately Pass or Fortunately Light, and then take my strategies to those levels. And then Monster Reborn is Monster Reborn. I don't think there was really much to say about that card. Alright, so we move on to the only trap card in the deck, and that is Fortune Lady Rewind, which allows me to summon any number of Fortune Ladies from the Banished. up to the number of. Oh, yeah, they can be summoned, but they cannot share the same name. And then you only use one Fortune Lady Rewind per turn, and then any monster summoned off of this card effect will get shuffled back into the deck. So normally you do this when you want to OTK your opponent. You get a lot of great stuff out of this. Like, I've seen very weird conversations. Excuse me. Very setups and very much praise for a lot of unfortunately stuff. It's just, this is actually one of the weirder coincidences of how cards work type of scenario. Because, like, don't quote me on this, but off the top of my head, I believe a lot of the Fortune Lady stuff does focus on more than just the chaos aspect of it. But a lot of people go to the chaos aspect of it because it's just something that they gravitate to. It's a lot more easier. Alright, I'm rambling because I need to ramble. Anyway, let's move on to the extra deck. Fortune Lady Every. This is pretty much the Fortune Lady's boss monster. One non-tuner, one tuner, one or more non-tuner spellcaster type monsters. The thing about these new Fortune Lady cards, like Fortune Lady Every, Fortune Lady Pass, is like you can easily fit these ladies into current setups for the game. And excuse me. This monster made it onto Duel Links. Yeah, that's right. Fortunately, Every is on Duel Links, just like for the rest of some of the Fortune Lady support. I think the only one that's not on there is Fire, but I think Fire and Dart are part of not Akiza, Carly's deck. But I do have Carly as a playable opponent. I mean, as a playable character, and sadly enough, no, she does not have a lot of her Fortune Lady abilities that were based off of Fortune Lady's attacks. But yeah, that is the beautiful Fortune Lady Every, and if I pick up another one, I'd have a full set. Black Rose, Stardust are just here to be some generic supports for for Synchro Monster. Same thing with Leo. I could have swapped Leo out for one, cards that made tokens, so that'd be a lot easier for Fortune Ladies to summon other monsters, and then two, just to have like some synchros in it, because I can replace these with cards like Trishula. I can replace these with cards like Trishula's the only one I can honestly think of. Maybe some of the other generic monsters that are based off of the original 5D's cast monsters, like their Steiner Dragons, but it really just depends. But yeah, that is pretty much the three of them. Then I go on to the rest of the extra deck. I wanted it to fit in with level manipulation and stuff like that. So Levier to help with the banished area, Abyss Dweller to help with the grave, Emerald to be my Pot of Avarice. Slacker Magician, Donner Magician are pretty much just here for the fact that they're spellcaster oriented. I can make Donner Magician and that forces. I can make Slacker Magician and forces Donner Magician to start triggering herself off, and then helping get like pretty much through enemy defenses with Donner Magician, because that's pretty much what she does. Like, she has material, she inflict damage to your opponent, and then during each of the during the in between phases, she will lose a monster. She'll lose a card attached to her for using the effect. Like I said, it's not a bad effect. It's just a lot of her additional effects will be linked to the additional effects are pretty much linked to if she has enough material for whatever monster you're trying to summon, and then use this effect to help put down a magician on the field. It's very, very complicated, but long story short, I got some plays to extend thanks to the few little extra monsters I'm running that are exceeds. Alright, moving on from the exceeds, I think it's pretty obvious, of course, the link monsters. Not Downer Magician. Daybreaker Magician, every time a spellcaster will be summoned, it's going to point, he's pointing at him, there's one counter, but each counter will give him additional attack points. And then he remove up to 2 counters to destroy a card on the field. So helpful, both offensive and defensive. They're really easy to make in this deck because, of course, everybody's spellcaster. My Nightmare Engine of Cerberus and Phoenix. Phoenix will help me get rid of those nasty spells, while Cerberus helps me get rid of monsters. Crazy thing is, I don't have Unicorn, and that would have been the complete set to go from Phoenix have Cerberus replayed, and then have Unicorn. And then while Unicorn bounces stuff, Phoenix destroys spells, Cerberus destroys monsters. And in the code link, they gain additional effects. Phoenix's is draw power, and Cerberus is getting rid of more things in the monster zone. So, yeah, that is two of them. And then, of course, I couldn't have the bigger brutes not be in here. Barrel Sword and Saryuja. I love Saryuja, unfortunately, because no matter what variation of Fortune Ladies I'm building, I can summon a ton of monsters thanks to the amazing amount of draw cards and then summon into Saryuja. And then Saryuja will help me draw into cards, and I can send cards in my hand I don't want at the current time back into the deck, thanks to Saryuja. And an additional attack boost bonus, and the additional attack power helps as well. And then you got Mr. Sunshine over here, Mr. Beryl Sword Dragon. And Beryl Sword is just an amazing monster, and a lot of people have access to Beryl Sword now, not only thanks to the tins, but also thanks to Battle of Legends having it as a reprint as well. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps me out tremendously. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. HBJ, signing out. Take care.